Hey, what is going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and welcome back to another episode of Mario's Minute. This is episode 36. We've been doing this for, 3 years at this point. And in case you do not know, this is a podcast I try and do every month where I alternate, where sometimes I talk about whatever the hell I want to if I'm by myself, or sometimes I'll have a guest on and both of us talk about really whatever the hell we want to. Now, I did say this is a podcast and it's available in two forms. It's available in the YouTube upload on my YouTube channel, Mr. Mario 2011. You can check it out there, although it's just kind of an image with a cool looking visualizer on it. At least I think it's pretty cool looking. And then, of course, as I said, this is a podcast, so you can fire up any of your favorite podcasting platforms, websites, apps, look up Mario's Minute, and you should be able to find it on there, subscribe, and download, listen to it like you would any other audio only podcast. Now, this month is going to be one of those months where we have a guest on. And I guess I'll just bring you on here immediately. As I always ask to my guest, who the hell are you?
Hi, I'm FrameRater. I do YouTube, like probably most of the people you've interviewed. I'm not great with the introductions, but there you go.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, thank you very much for coming on here, FrameRater.
Yeah, thanks you very much you for inviting me to podcast you.
No
This is like the
problem.
first time
Yeah.
I've ever been interviewed for a thing, so yeah,
You,
bear the pardons, and
you,
as well the fact that I also have really bad reflux at times, so you might hear things like that.
it's all good. It's all good. I'm a man of many voices and all like many like sounds and all that as well. I could have told you this even off the air, but it's all good. I don't the thing I tell people, I don't even think of this as an interview because it's really not. I just think of it as a
Sure,
conversation that
yeah,
I want to have with you. And we're just, we have a big red button that's going off in the background.
yeah, that's true. It is just a bunch of a good old fun exchange between pals with also
Exactly.
152,000 people potentially watching, but yeah.
It's all good. Not all those people are gonna watch. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, I mean, could be just
Some of
tomorrow
them.
Mr. Mario explodes and suddenly he's next to PewDiePie.
I'm not trying to explode, alright? That sounds dangerous, that sound oh, wait, you're talking about the channel, not, like, physical being. Alright,
Of
alright, alright.
course.
Yeah. Yeah, no, actually, on here so, I mean, you said just, for anybody who doesn't know you, you do YouTube things, like, what exactly would you say the stuff you do on YouTube is? Because, like, for me, for example, and this might be the most, like, closest to an interview question, but, like, I think I found you from your original Xbox emulation video, and I had to actually go back and find which one it was because I remember seeing personally like how you came on my radar. I had seen at least one or two OG Xbox videos you did, which I thought were really well done. And then you do a lot of console libraries I've seen and such, which I love all of those. But I remember like I had seen you comment on a soft mod video of mine, like for the OG Xbox. I was like, "Oh shit, FrameRater, this guy! I like what he does. This is exciting. Okay, cool."
Yeah, well, regarding the I guess I'll just kind of go about what you said in a random order. Regarding the
Sure.
Xbox emulation video I did, that that's a long time ago. I remember that was probably like the first professional grade video I ever did because I did a lot of researching and I came across people and I had the opportunity to ask questions, and that ended up being a much larger project than I initially intended for it to be because I had all those opportunities. Um, we ended up putting together something pretty big. I guess that was like more of like a community project, which is it's funny because I haven't talked to like any of those people since. But I mean, back then it was cool, and even to this day, I still randomly get like an email that says so and so would like permission to edit your document for that like 3-year old almost mini documentary about Xbox emulators. I'm just like, how do you even have that link? But like, yeah, and so that was pretty cool, and I guess that kind of opened my opportunity to make a lot of other videos of that juncture. Man, that's the problem I have where I throw words out there thinking that I know what they mean. I don't know what that means, but
That's
maybe that
appropriate.
fits. Okay. So, and then you also said the console libraries, and oh man, do those videos have problems? I wish they didn't, but oh man, do they have problems?
I
um,
watch them. I like them.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? They're entertainment, and that's what I intend for them to be, but it is so easy to just point out a million different things wrong with it, especially in retrospect. Because, like, the thing is, a lot of the time, the comments I get on those videos is people like saying, "How the hell do you not know this or that or this or that?" I think the real problem is when you're dealing with such a large volume of topics, you're gonna get every different type of person watching it, and anyone who's ultra familiar with those things that I'm not, like sports games or RPGs, uh, it just goes to show how little I know about those things. And then I guess to those people, it's like, oh, why the hell wouldn't you know about that? It's because you don't usually find people talking about those things if they don't know anything about those things. But if
Sure.
in a console library video, I kind of have to talk about those things. So it's like it's almost like I need to learn more about gaming. And then there's also people that get really mad when you mispronounce Troy Aikman or Ackman or whatever. It's just like, man, I don't. Um, Regarding videos, I guess I make on my channel, I kind of just do whatever the heck I want. I always tell people to check out my playlist tab because that's where you'll find the most semblance of order on my channel because I think on a surface level my channel makes absolutely no sense. But when you open the playlist tab, it's like it kind of makes more okay, he's got videos on animations, he's got videos on uh hands-on tech stuff, he's got reviews. But then like you look at the whole video list and it's like, "Oh wow, this is just a huge mess." I think that throws off subscribers a lot. As I've said before, every time I publish a video, I lose subscribers first, which usually it does level out eventually, but it's always a loss at first. And I think it's because people forget why they subscribed.
Mhm. It's even with that, I know people the subscriber thing, I know people were pointing it out as a bug when it first happened, like, when people first started noticing it, I guess, years ago, it was like, "No, it's really not a bug, it's more just human nature," like, people will see a people's taste change or maybe the uploader uploads something different than they wanted to see, and there's like, "Oh, okay, I don't really wanna see this video or this uploader anymore," so they just unsubscribe, but I mean, the best thing to do is just continuously power through it on there, which it sounds like you're doing. It's not as big of a deal as people are making it out to be.
No, if I do recall correctly, I think part of the glitch people didn't like was the fact that sometimes they'd refresh their browser after doing nothing in particular, and sometimes they'll have lost like 30 subscribers.
Sure.
And that I think these days that's considered inactive accounts. But I actually had one close fan of my channel who told me at one point that YouTube had unsubscribed his channel from me, and it's just like, oh, that's great. So
Mhm.
sometimes you wonder, is it really they're removing inactive accounts, or it's just some kind of weird excuse? I have no idea. I'll never
I
know.
I think it's kind of an excuse, and maybe they're not looking at the actual like the proper data they need because this blew up like a few years ago. It blew up to the point where I think the Creator Studio channel. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but something along those lines. It's kind of like a homegrown but like official YouTube channel,
Right? Yeah.
and they had made a video talking about that, and they had one of the engineers on there, and she was saying, "No, we have gotten so many reports of people saying that they've been unsubscribed and we couldn't find any evidence of it." And it's just like everyone was just overwhelmingly saying, "No, that's bullshit. That's bullshit." And like it's even I remember there was a live stream I did where I believe it was myself, Modbot, and Johnny Guns. I don't think you would know them, but maybe some other listeners might. And we were on the stream, and like right there live, like our reaction was there. Johnny went to Modbot's channel and was like, "Holy shit, I'm unsubscribed. Like, there's no logical reason for me to ever unsubscribe from your channel. Like, look at this." And he shared his screen. He's like, "I swear, I did not do this. I don't know when it happened. I was unsubscribed from your channel." So like
Hmm.
it's happened to so many people across the platform, but then at the same time, YouTube says, "We've looked at all the data and it's not happening. There's no automatic unsubscribe bug."
That's weird. Yeah. I mean, if they're so sure that there isn't a thing, but I mean, who can you trust really? Who knows?
Nobody. You can't trust anybody at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even really think. Well, maybe there's a few reasons why they would unsubscribe people. They want people to. Uh, uh, mm, I don't know. It gets more into conspiracy if I really think of it that way. But it's like
Sure,
maybe they
sure.
want you to try harder or something. But I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah,
They just want to get those views. They
I
want
I
you to get
just
those views so that they
I
can get those views.
I just think it's another YouTube weird thing that's happening on their
It could
end,
be a
and they
lot of
can't
things.
figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although thankfully it hasn't been bad. Like I've at least noticed like somewhat recently, like maybe the past like year or so, I haven't seen it like crop up as often.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about it. I mean, it's definitely an interesting thing to think about, sure.
hmm Yeah, and then sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to think about this. I just want to watch my damn videos.
Yeah, yeah. I just I wish I could like I wonder there's also the last week or so, I've stumbled across several channels that I swear I've never seen in my life. And then they just
hmm
pop up in my subscriptions. I click on the channel, it says I was subscribed. One of them was like I I just like sexiest babes in video games. And I like look at the channel, I'm like, there's absolutely nothing on this channel that I ever would have subscribed to. What is this doing here?
Question: do you think like if you looked at the channel, do you think it was a channel you subscribed to before, and then maybe they either got
It
hacked or they
didn't
sold the
seem
channel?
like it.
And
It seemed
okay,
like it was fairly consistent. I mean, there's also the possibility I left it open on a I don't think I ever would have left my login anywhere. But I mean,
hmm
the possibility is I mean, even if, why would somebody just use your account to subscribe to random channels? I don't know, it's weird. I have a theory of that somehow YouTube subscribed to me to these channels because there's just I have no recollection unless like I don't know maybe in like when I first created my account for some I don't know, it doesn't even make sense to me. You know, where did you come from? I've never I don't
and
know.
now we're at the point where we're just overthinking it.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
That's what YouTube does to you though, man. Sometimes it'll
Of
just like
course.
sometimes you can get into the nitty gritty and like look and try and figure out all this stuff, and then like I don't know. To me, I've just kind of more been of like, okay, I care a little bit, but I'm just gonna you know let's just upload and have fun. All right, we're done. We're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There was this isn't really a question. It's more just a comment that I was wanting to tell you about, but I just want to say I'm because we haven't spoken like voice to voice prior to this, but just overall, I did want to tell you you're an incredibly entertaining guy. At first, I was thinking it was just funny, and like it that is true, but it's to the point where it's like I'll put it like this: FrameRater and I were trying to get this all sorted for about a month or so, and it was just we had this all like hashed out. I just said, "Hey, can't you have you on for the November episode? We'll do December," but even when when you were debugging your Xbox with me because he was having a power issue with his original Xbox, and you were telling me about what was going on. I was helping you out. We were having this back and forth, and you would send me a clip of you trying to fire the Xbox back up, and then like you just went into this rant, and it was only like a minute long, but even just that, it felt like I was watching like an unreleased part of a FrameRater video, and it was just so entertaining, and I was laughing watching that, and
Yeah.
that's something I just get from you as a person, and even just like the content, and even just like little clips of that. To me, you're a very entertaining person. And I have to thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm glad you see it that way. A lot of people that I know um will kind of get annoyed at my ranting. I can rant about a lot of things. But it's like it's funny, I never really mean anything by it. Something that I really struggle with on my YouTube. I think I come across very angry sometimes. But here's my main theory onto why that is. I really hate recording scripts for a
Okay.
number of reasons. Like the first thing is I got this like 20-page long double spaced thing where I just have that in front of me. I'm just like, I don't want to. And then there's also the thought that my and to y'all watching at home will probably have recognized that my mouth just clicks all the time. I don't know if it's like I don't drink enough, which is probably a true statement, but I don't know, and it's just total annoyance for me. And it's like, also as I said to you earlier before we started, I live immediately next to a door that opens and closes constantly. Thankfully, it's like later in the day, so you're not going to hear that as much. But I also tried to get my stuff done in like earlier in the day because that's when I have more energy and sunlight. But
Sure.
yeah, and then we'll have neighbors yelling at each other outside, or people quite frequently there'll be people moving in and they'll just be carrying large furniture items and smashing and banging, and I'm just like, oh dear lord, no, not now. And we're also immediately next to a street, but this is the cheapest place that I was aware of in this city, and it's terrible.
I
Well,
understand.
I mean, yeah, of course
I
it's
mean,
terrible if it's the cheapest place in the city, but
I,
um
I mean,
I don't even know.
you gotta deal with what you deal with, though, you know?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, at least you got a roof over your head, all that fun stuff,
I
but
just
yeah,
gotta make
I
less videos and be a bit less stressed about all the I don't know if you've seen my upload schedule, like, like, up until the last, like, video I posted, which I've been taking a little bit of a break recently, but I would just literally grind YouTube nonstop 24/7 except for the occasional, sleeping,
Mhm.
'cause, it's YouTube's my full-time thing because I have a number of issues. I have scoliosis, so I can't really do too much moving, or else my back starts to really like the upper part of it just starts to really cramp up. Uh, I mean, I don't want to get too personal, but I have like ADHD, so it's hard to focus on. I was working at a Toys R Us once, and I just
Oh,
could
rest in peace,
not.
Toys R Us. Unless it's is Toys R Us still live in Canada?
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
okay, it's dead over here.
maybe not in 2021, but like
Mm,
because
yeah.
like COVID and stuff. But like
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's alive and well, and I was working there pretty much just after they closed off in America. Um, they basically demanded me to learn the whole inner workings and outer workings of the building in a week, and that was just like I just had to say I can't keep doing this. Like I gotta break off because I just
Sure.
couldn't. I also feared the consequence of somebody yelling at me and saying, "How the frick didn't you learn this in this period of time?" Just like, I don't know, my brain doesn't work that way. But yeah,
I guess
I've had friends also tell me, "Hey, you know, Frame, you're literally never gonna do anything with your life unless it's creative, right?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, that's pretty much true." So, if it's not YouTube, it's gotta be something else in the creative field for a number of factors. I also live in an incredibly, like, industrial city, so there's not many jobs here in the first place. I'm just,
sure.
you know, blessed to have YouTube in an economic crisis.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna say, I mean, this is like, congratulations on that, and then also, I mean, this is definitely a good time where a lot of people have been kind of doing their like their self startups and like kind of looking inwards on themselves, saying, "Hey, maybe I might want to have a job where I work from home, or maybe be self employed, or kind of do that whole thing, or finally start up that stream, like that streaming career,
Gosh,
just
that gets
streaming for
into
fun or
another,
uploading
like,
stuff."
thought of, like, how in the last couple months, a lot of, like, bigger YouTubers are falling, and people like me are getting a lot less views as well. And it's like, I have a number there's a number of factors, I think. First of all, everyone's been spending a lot of their free time watching YouTube, and I think by now we're almost a year into this whole lockdown situation.
Almost, yeah.
I think
I
people
at
are
the time
kind of
we're
sick of just watching YouTube all the time now.
Yeah, at the time we're recording this, because we're recording this a week in advance, but it's like, dude, I was because I have a day job, but I was sent home 9 months ago, and I was only supposed to be home for 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
damn.
yeah,
Yeah, that's how
yeah.
that goes.
Mhm.
I think I was yeah, reasons why people aren't watching. And then as the extension to the previously engaged conversation was these people who are off their jobs maybe trying to start up doing their own thing. And oh no, my screen went dark. I hope that didn't affect the podcast. Okay, it
No,
didn't.
it's all good. I still hear you beautifully.
All right. Um, so yeah, these people who have never done YouTube before are getting into YouTube. Maybe they're taking off, or other people are, you know, just trying to find their own sort of new hobbies to do at home. I think there's a lot of reasons why channels are kind of falling right now.
You know, I think a part of it as well too is also people have over. I mean, this just gets into a whole other thing with COVID, but like people have more opted to just adjust to new normal and such. So it's like, hey, we can kind of hunker down and do a lockdown for a little bit, but we did. I don't even want to get into the whole like how we mishandled it and stuff because I'm trying to be in a good mood. But either
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
it's like people had to go back to school, people had to go back to work, people went out and did stuff because in like March, April, like everything just boomed, like viewership wise and all that stuff because
Mm-hmm.
everyone was at home.
Yep.
And then it went back down to at least on my channel I noticed it went back down to normal levels, because at this point, and I'm still happy with my views, but at this point, people are there's still more eyes than what was previously happening, about a year ago,
Sure.
but people are going back to live their regular lives as much as they can. So they're spending more time in the house than they normally would, like compared to, November, December 2019.
Sure. Yeah.
Uh but they're still doing their other stuff. It's not like March and April where it's like, oh, I have like people are staying inside completely, or they're only in their house, or they, got laid off from their job or something. So they have nothing else going on. So all of a sudden they have 8 or 9 hours a day that they didn't have access to before to do whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, how has it been over for you all up there,
Um,
COVID wise?
well, actually, as of 2 days ago, lockdown recommenced,
Oh
immenced,
my, okay.
engaged. Oh gosh, they're me with my sporadic words again. But, yeah, there was a significant jump in cases. It went from, like, 70 a day to, like, 130 or something along
Oh,
those lines.
so
So they went
almost
into
double then.
full
Jeez.
lockdown,
Hmm.
again, and now we're just kind of all sticking in our homes. Before, stores were open, you could basically go anywhere still if you were wearing a mask, but now I guess it's restricted to, essential services again. That's just where I
Okay.
live. I highly doubt that reflects Canada as a whole, but at least, that's how it is right here in hometown of name of hometown here.
Gotcha. Gotcha, gotcha. Because yeah, I have. I mean, I first of all, I love Canada. I've been up there many times, but
Oh, cool.
yeah, no, absolutely love the country overall. And I've been in like mostly in like the Toronto and like London, Ontario, like those areas.
Yeah, I've been there a
Um,
few times. I wish I could visit more. I wanna buy re-res a beer or something.
oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really like nice places to visit. It's cold, but also people are really like Canadians are really nice.
I guess so. I'll say for one thing though, we definitely don't pour maple syrup on everything or scream the word "a" all the time. Which,
Sure,
for the record, I hear Americans say "a" like just as much as Canadians do. I don't know.
fair, fair.
I mean, it might change the more you go like like seriously up north, but like
Hmm.
it's funny. Even in my hometown, I often see like advertisements and billboards use like "eh" as like a slogan or whatever, and I always see that and I'm just like, "You're so silly, we don't talk like that here, what are you doing?" It's like, I feel like, because I live in a border city, I imagine a lot of Americans come over and they're just like, "Oh god, there's the A's," and I'm just like, "I promise you it's not really like that here. I don't know what they're doing."
Maybe the ads are for Americans just to
You know
entertain
what? It's
Americans.
quite possible considering, yeah, again, it's a border city. I love how
Yeah.
immediately after you come out the border, there's a McDonald's.
Is there really?
There is, at least here there
Huh.
is.
All right, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, at least in my area, we haven't like we were pretty locked down like at the beginning, but now it's more just pretty much everything seems to be open at this point. It's like, there's mask mandates where you got to wear a mask and stuff. And I think one of the most, I wear a mask when I go out and I try and minimize going out and such. But one of the most telling things was locally, there is a mandate. You have to wear one. But I had gone to my gym a few months ago to cancel my membership because I'm like, well, I don't feel safe going here. I'm not going to
Of
come
course,
here.
yeah.
I have Ring Fit at home.
Sure.
That's been kicking my ass, right? But I went over there and I'm just like, I've only been here like 5 minutes to cancel my membership, but I see an employee who's playing around, like taking their mask on and off. They have a person directly in front of them, like a customer who has their mask off. They're not saying anything. I've seen another employee who doesn't have their mask on at all. So I'm like, you know what? No, like I'm making a very good decision here to not come in. This is kind of just confirming everything.
Yeah, wow, I can't believe they're just pulling on and off like that.
Yeah, yeah. One person, but still, I'm like, maybe that was one person too many because, since he's an
Well, of
employee, how
course, yeah,
many
it only
people is
takes
he
one
interacting
person.
with every day?
Exactly, and
Exactly.
those people he's interacting with are now carrying if the guy is carrying. It's just,
Hmm.
I mean, and especially if even if you're going to be a guy promoting the use of the mask, like if you're taking it off here and there, you're almost completely, especially depending on where you're putting the mask when you take it off.
Yep.
Um, one thing I want to say when we brought up masks,
Sure.
I remember one of my videos. I don't know if it was at the end of a video or it might have been one of my posts, like my community posts, where I was like, "And wear a mask, dang it," or something. It was just like a joke. This one guy
Hmm.
really went off on how FrameRater, please, you can't say stuff like that. It's political. You want to be political on your channel. And I responded, I'm like, wearing a mask is political? And they're just like, yes, it is absolutely a political statement. Please do not put stuff like that on your channel. And it's like,
Oh my
I
God.
totally endorse not alienating your audience, I'm all for that. Definitely in all ways, I try to put any type of political belief to the back of my head when I'm engaging online.
Sure.
So I'm all for keeping politics away from the content, but would have never thought wearing a mask is a political choice or decision. Or at least maybe it's where I live. I don't know where everyone's just doing it. I just figure everyone's doing it. But then I also have friends in Texas who are telling me that like pretty much like nobody's doing it, and if you do, you get mocked. So I mean, like I guess it makes sense, but like it just shows how different this whole thing's been approached around the world.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, in the US it's much more charged on there. And I'm of the belief it's not political, it's just it's scientific, all right? And
Of
it's just
course,
like
yeah,
even
yeah, I
even
agree.
if people say there's like, "Oh, it doesn't make that much of a difference." I'm like, "Cool, if it doesn't make that much of a difference, it's easy to do. Just put the damn thing on. It's fine. There's so many different masks. You're complaining this one's too hot or you can't breathe very well with this one. Just get one that's better, okay?" Plus, I'm one of those people personally, I like the mask thing. I like wearing it. I like how it looks. So that's
You
just
must have a
me.
good one. I don't have good ones. I
I
try to
mean,
stay out as least as amount of possible just because I don't have good ones. I mean, affiliate,
sure.
like I will always go out with one, but
Mhm.
I don't go out as much because I just don't like wearing them.
Gotcha, gotcha.
I
Yeah,
mean,
no.
I'm sure probably I've seen people wear like construction masks where it's like one of those like see-through plastic, like
Oh, and
for
you're
you'd think for like welding or something, but I see people just wearing those out in public, and I'm like, yeah, I guess if that works.
yeah, see, even with those ones, like the shield, the face shield, that's what
Yes,
it
that's
is.
basically what that is.
You're only supposed to use a face shield in conjunction with a mask. So there's people who only use a face shield, and it's like, no, that's really not helping.
Oh, well then, I don't know why they would even wear that in the first place then, if a mask is
because
required.
because they think it does. I mean, some people might just not know either. Like for me, for example, have you played Watch Dogs?
No, I've seen stuff.
Okay, so you've seen like the main character, the mask he wears.
Oh yeah, I believe
Yo,
one of my close friends actually like exclusively wears that as his face mask. I think because I think he got a deluxe like edition of the game and it came with like that. I'm
mhm.
pretty sure that's what he wears.
Yo, so I'm actually gonna tell you something you should pass on to your friend. Like, I was just like, you know what? I want to get a nice mask. I decided to get one, like a cool looking one, right? So I got one of those, and I was going out looking like Aiden Pierce for like a week or so, and I had posted up and for anybody who I doubt there's anyone who really saw this, but for anybody who might have seen these pictures go up and then go down, I'll explain. I had taken like a few pictures of me outside in that mask, and I put them up on social media, and one of my friends actually messaged me. He's like, "Hey, dude, here's actually here's a good study that was done on masks and such." And in short, the mask that you're wearing is just as bad or possibly even worse than not wearing a mask because
The
essentially
way you started
it's
that sounded so mean girls. Just to let you know. I don't know.
maybe that shows how out of touch I am with. I've only seen Mean Girls once, so like
I
all
don't think
like the
I've
little
ever seen it. I'm just again
really you
here's
just you,
here's me throwing out random stuff, but like that's just what I assume is the vibe of like
it's kind of like the
teen
people who haven't
drama
seen
or
Star
whatever.
Wars, but everyone knows Luke, I am your father. So
Yeah, like I man, I should not make comparisons. That's one of my that's one of my New Year's resolutions that I'm gonna have to adjust to. It's like stop like I think one of my friends put it volunteering information where I don't have to. But hey, it was a good meme.
it was, but I think it's fine. I don't have an issue with it. But either way, so he had let me
Anything
know.
you
He's
don't
like,
have an issue with, millions of others on the internet will.
that's true.
Yeah.
Uh, but on there, he had linked me this study that was done, and it pretty much showed that that style of mask, it didn't really do much to filter, to protect you. But even so, really, if you sneezed or any droplets that came out, they pretty much ended up multiplying as they came out. So you had an even bigger spread. So at best, it was the same as not wearing a mask. At worst, it was worse than not wearing a mask at all. So with that, we were talking about it, he was like, "Yeah, just I just want to let you know, like it's cool mask, but it it's dangerous to wear." And he was like, "You
Sure.
might want to take those posts down as well too." I was like, "No, no, no, totally. Like I don't want to promote wearing this thing." So I took down the post and that was it. So I have this really cool Pierce mask that's just, sitting downstairs somewhere that I can't safely wear.
So what you're saying is that well, is that kind of like physical mask not good, or just like a specific one?
That style, like, that physical style of
Oh
mask is not
wow.
good. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I guess I'll have to pass that on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I mean, there's still a lot of mask stuff we didn't know and we weren't know, and of course, like even like the cloth masks that people wear, they aren't medical grade, but they help well enough on there, so that's why people are wearing them. But
Sure,
like
yeah.
that style, that physical style in particular, is just like no, you're wear anything else.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yep. Oh well. Actually, one thing I wanted to bring up on here because I've been following this, but Cyberpunk. Have you played it? Have you looked into it?
Why did
Do you
that
have
come to my head just moments before you said that? I'm not even sure why. But yeah,
because
I guess
brainwaves? That's
that
why
that is one of the top conversations of the week is
it is.
Cyberpunk and the beautiful console ports that people are playing on their base PS4s,
Oh
and
God.
people are getting mad at people for playing it on their base PS4 despite, but it says that on the box.
Yeah, yeah. It came out on PS4, so it should work on PS4.
Yeah, it should.
Yeah. But yeah, have you I mean, have you looked into Cyberpunk at all? Have you had any excitement for it or have you just kind
No,
of
I
passed? Okay.
yeah, one thing about that in particular, I guess a lot of people label me as like a gamer, and I've been trying to stray away from this. It's some people might be able to see from my channel, except those videos don't get many views. But yeah, a lot of people will ask me, "Hey, what's your thoughts on this? What's your thoughts on Cyberpunk? And how do you feel about this new thing or this or that?" Let me tell you, the Zelda CDI games being remastered was the most exciting thing to me in the last 5 years related to gaming. But, yeah, mm, I've the only thing that interests me when it comes to these new big games coming out is watching streamers do their bits about it. Like Vinesauce recently posted his little glitch video. That was kind of funny. I mean, it was nothing
Mhm.
crazy, but it's just I don't know. It's all about the memes. I don't really play games. If it's not for YouTube, I'm pretty much never playing video games. And I guess that might be a bit of a critique to some people. It's like, oh, he's not a real gamer. It's like, I've never promoted that. I've never said I'm a real gamer. I just I don't know. And then you'll get comments about, "Oh, he sucks at Doom Eternal." And it's like, "Yeah, yeah, I kind of do." But at least I admit that.
Yeah, actually, even with that, because we talked about a little bit about that off air, but do you, because you do YouTube full time and such, and do you, I guess directly asking, do you equate games to work?
um Unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
It wasn't always that way, but especially when I moved out of my parents, which was 2 years ago, something like that. Um it was really more like what I think if people were to go back into my channel, they would notice a lot more of my content at that point was based on stuff I wanted to make and I was really enthusiastic about. It sort of had a bit of a turn into what's going to perform well, but I also kind of have an interest in.
Hmm.
And a lot of like my YouTube in general is just like exposing memories I've had as a children where I revisit my old childhood games. So uh I guess some people might think that I'm visiting these old games for the first time, but no. Usually they're just games I played when I was a kid because I spent a lot of time playing games as a kid. Gee, I may have gotten sidetracked. What was the topic again?
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. No, actually, I do want to stay on this, and we can come back to Cyberpunk. But no, because it was I was asking if you equate games to work.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately, I guess I would have to say I do, especially when a lot of the games that I've done recently, I'm going through the Ratchet and Clank series of games, and uh first 3 games fun enough to play through. I'm not huge on the third one. That's controversial. But yeah, at least they're entertaining games through and throughout, even if one's better than the other, but whatever. And then now I'm doing the 2 PSP games and the spin-off Gladiator Deadlocked, Ratchet Deadlocked.
Hmm.
I've played Deadlocked when I was younger, but I don't have much of a memory of it. The 2 PSP games, the first one It's decent. It's not terrible. Second one, there are a lot of YouTubers that have covered it and said it's like the worst game they've ever played, which I disagree with. I don't think it's a terrible game. Like it gets close, but to say it's among like the worst games ever is just a huge stretch. I would say that it's a fair game. It's not something I would spend money on, which is unfortunate because I bought it on launch day because I
Oh
freaking
man,
really loved the Ratchet and Clank games back then, especially
that sounds
the first
disappointing.
PSP game, Size Matters. I really liked on my PSP, and I played through that game like 30 times, like on my save file. Said something
Mhm.
like that. Um, but yeah, then the sequel was very different. Not even like a Ratchet and Clank game. I don't know. It was like its own thing completely, and just not very good at what it was trying to do. Oh, it's
Sure.
got so many like dumb rhythm games and stuff, and it's like, what the hell is this? But yeah, I mean, we're not talking about Ratchet and Clank, but that's where it becomes more of a chore for me. Like doing the trilogy games, I would say that was half work, half fun. Doing this
Okay.
set of games is quarter fun, 75% work. I haven't gotten to Deadlocked yet. I hear that's good, so at least I have that to look forward to.
Gotcha. I mean, even with what you do though, with all the gaming videos and stuff, and this is actually even something I'd wanted to tell you about, but that is work to a degree, and what I mean by that is I don't know if you'd agree with me on this. You're playing the game, but you're not actively sitting there engaged and fully playing it. You're either mentally or physically taking notes on it. You're recording, you're doing other stuff. You're
Yes.
playing it with a purpose, not for enjoyment.
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah.
that's why for me, like I can like doing reviews, but like I guess my most recent example is I did well, I guess between us recording and releasing, there's gonna be another review coming out. That one was easier, but I done a review over the Xbox HDMI, which is like this is
I
an
watched
awesome
that
device.
actually. Yeah.
Oh, well, what'd you think of it?
Uh I got such a bad memory, man. I know I
It's all
watched
good.
that.
It's all
Uh,
good.
Hold on. If I just scroll over your video and watch the little thumbnail play its part, I might pick up more of a
Okay.
memory. Or
All
I'm
right, all
gonna
right.
actually mute your video and just skim through it and try to
Okay.
remember.
All
Oh,
right, all
you did
right.
like a whole hour of this. Wow.
Yes,
I
yes,
had
I
no
did.
memory of it being that long. Oh, you know what? I think I didn't really watch the gameplay showcases. I might have just skipped to your final thoughts after.
Fair, fair, and I
Uh
and I put the gameplay showcase in. I kinda debated cutting that down, but, like, I even asked about it, and people were like, "No, if this is, like, an hour, we'll watch it." I'm like, "Okay,
That's
cool."
usually I don't know if you know that I have a second channel called Frame Play where I post footage of related stuff. This is if I was in your situation, this is the kind of thing I would dedicate to that channel where it'd be like my
Interesting,
extra
okay.
thing where I'd put and if you want to see the gameplay showcase, I've put a video on my other channel and you can go check that out is what I would say. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I remember you I think I even almost wanted to comment on this video cuz you said you got the Xbox like sent over to you or something.
I did, yes.
Yeah, that's awfully convenient.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So I even going back on that, like I'd gotten this like awesome device before release. I had an Xbox sent over. Like I got like a bunch of time to mess with it and such because I was there was no deadlines or anything, and I was like, this is great. But I dragged my feet on that for so long because I'm like, damn it, this is a review, and I'm gonna have to like sit here and play games and like look at the technical stuff of this, and like even though
Of
it's something
course,
that
yeah.
on paper I should enjoy everything, I'm like, this is gonna be a lot. And to put it in perspective for anybody who like, and I'm sure Frame like you can attest to this here, but like for anybody's perspective on this, if you haven't done something like that, because I did, there was only like 20 minutes, 22 minutes worth of like core gameplay on there, but I had to test a bunch of games like myself on my TV and such, and then I was recording. That was a whole other thing, and I pretty much dedicated a weekend to really tearing through that video. Like I was like, okay, cool. I got the Xbox here. I'm gonna record the footage. I'm gonna edit. I'm gonna do all the stuff I need to. And
Wow.
I was messaging a
I'm
friend at the
just
time.
I am listening to you, but it's just I've got that video scrolling as you're talking, just like trying
Mhm.
to pick up on things. And you have a part where you're showing Halo 480p, and then I'm just like, okay, yeah, that looks pretty good. and then
And then the
uh,
720p patch comes in.
the 720p thing came in, and I was just like, oh, I thought the 480 was it. And then you showed the 720, I'm like, oh, that's really good.
Yup.
Yeah.
Yup. That was an impressive one to see. But on there, it's I was messaging a friend about it, and I remember like that Saturday, I had decided to do all my gameplay recording on there. And I pretty much sat at my computer here playing Xbox for 6 or 7 hours, and I didn't really play, like, because I'd play a game for anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes just to capture the gameplay, and it was all with a task. It wasn't to actually, like, enjoy or go through the game itself. Some of the games I'd even played prior, like, I'd play, like, an hour or 2 in, or I unlocked characters, so then I could, like, use that better looking footage and the more engaging stuff, like, for the video itself when I was
Sure.
recording.
Yeah.
So, like, by the end, I messaged one of my friends, I was just like, yeah, I'm done. I just sat there and recorded gameplay for like 6 or 7 hours, and, like, that was I pretty much played games for 7 hours straight without playing games because I was
Yeah.
like, "I didn't do this for enjoyment, I
Well,
did
I
it to accomplish a task."
one thing I would say in, like, a reflection to myself is I would say you had more fun than moving boxes in, like, a
That's
retail
true.
job. So there's that.
Absolutely.
Um, regarding playing games, for, like, objective purposes, I think I'm pretty good at the multitasking of being able to both enjoy it and also see its flaws at the same time. But then again, I don't even think I played a video game just for fun in so many years. And I think there's been times recently where I'll be playing a game, like maybe I'll just bring one of my portable emulation things with me and I'll be playing a game and it's like I can't even sit and enjoy it. I'm just thinking of things I would write in a review. It's like
Sure.
I've like molded my brain to just think critically about all the games I play. But if there's one thing I wanted to point out, and I'll name drop a guy here. His name is Implant Games. I guess Chris Genth, as he goes on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken,
Mhm.
where I know for a fact he plays games twice. He did review games. I don't think he's posted in a long time, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know what's going on, but I think he's still active on Twitter. But I remember he would always talk about when he was thinking of reviewing a game, he would talk about his first playthrough and second playthrough. Now he never said this specifically, but what I gather from what he said is that he plays the game first like a person usually would, and then he
Sure.
plays it through a second time to in a critical eye, maybe recording his playthrough and thinking and this and that. Um, I don't know how he has time for that. He must have a second job, but I mean, of course he does if he's also been inactive for so long. But like I don't first of all don't have time to play through a game twice, especially if it's
Mhm.
long. Uh, but I guess second of all, it's like usually I don't even want to play it through a second time. Like I played it through once,
Sure.
I'm done.
And I
I
guess,
guess that just goes to show I'm not really a gamer. I just,
well, even on that, like, sometimes of course, you don't wanna play through a game a second time, like, you don't have to do that with every game, but even with some of your videos as well too, like, like the Xbox HDMI, I was doing it, I was playing games to test the actual hardware and to show that itself, not really for the games themselves, but even in a case of, like, your console library videos, like, why would you play through any of the entirety of any of those games that
oh
you're
yeah,
recording and then to go through them twice? Like, no, you're going through each of them, like, for a few minutes at a time.
yeah, yeah. No, there's a common like misconception with those videos. I've had friends say to me, "So you play every game for like 2 hours, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, imagine if I played every game for like 2 hours. I'd have only had like two of those videos done to this day if that were the case."
Yep.
I mean, maybe it's different for like Atari, but yeah, I mean, the GameCube ones are a real pain in the ass to do. I usually have to play those ones for like half an hour each game, and that's a lot of time when you add it
Y
up. Like,
yeah, because 'cause I'm even
I
thinking of, like,
one
Mario
of
Sunshine, for example, that has a long intro sequence
oh
to really
yeah,
get started.
yeah. The first GameCube part I did was I believe 60 something games, and now imagine playing each game for half an hour. I don't even know how much time that is, but that's a lot of time. To
Mhm.
be spending to make one video that honestly didn't even perform too well. I guess my theory on that is people are waiting for me to do the whole thing before they watch it, but it's like you're gonna have a lot to watch if you're waiting for me to finish it. Like,
Mhm.
damn. I think that's just a testament to how much time I spent making the video.
Well, with those older games, well, too, like you mentioned Atari, for example, those are really the types of games. Like, this isn't an insult to them, but, like, you can get the game by only playing it for like 5 or 10
Oh
minutes.
yeah,
It's just like, okay, cool, I got the entire feel of this
that's what I
game.
love about it, honestly. Like when I sit and play my Atari, it's like I guess that goes to show what kind, if you want to call me a gamer, that's what the kind of gamer that I am, where it's just like, oh, I got something in my throat. um,
You good?
oh yeah.
All right,
Uh,
all right, good.
I guess that's the what kind of gamer I am, where it's like I'm so excited to boot up my Atari because I can just ADHD my way through it. It's just like, okay, this game I play it for 3 minutes, and then I play another game for 3 minutes, And I guess that's why I've always loved like WarioWare and games like
Sure.
that. I don't know. I think I just said WarioWare. But yeah, just games where it's like constant visual gratification of different stuff and themes and this and that. It's like, oh yeah, it's a new thing. It's different. It's very simple though and engaging. And yeah, I don't know. I really really like old Atari stuff. And a lot of people always say, oh, you can't play Atari these days. You have to do at least NES. Those games are old and boring. And it's like, man, I like that about them. They're just like super simple. Just do a quick little game, and then I can go eat something and go to sleep. I don't know.
Right on, right on. I think for me, kind of my aspect on that is because I actually visited some Atari stuff recently. I mean, by the time this podcast goes out, the video will be up. But I got to
Oh
review
really?
the Evercade. Yeah,
Oh, that's
um,
interesting.
yeah. I mean, in short, TLDR, it's not really for me. It could be better. The D pad hurts.
Yeah, I've heard mixed things about that.
Yeah, but the pricing strategy is really good on there. But either way, watch the video on there if you haven't already. I'm not just saying to you, like to anybody listening,
Sure,
but
sure.
because I was proud of the review I did. But yeah, that's one thing on there I noticed where like I was playing like Atari games. I tried Lynx games for the first time, and it was interesting checking those out. Not all of them are my cup of tea, of course, but it's very much a thing of like, oh, this is great. I can only play this game for like a few minutes and I pretty much get it. And I could see if there's an issue with the game itself or the sound or the visuals or what have you. Like it's very easy to pick up on that. While as like, the Xbox HDMI review I did, it's like, okay, well, I have to show Jet Set Radio Future and that game's great, but like I'm not going to show like the first like 10 minutes. So I got to like play this like offline for like 30, 45 minutes, get to the good stuff. And then like Silent Hill 2, like I suppose I can show the beginning, like this specific scene, but like that game doesn't really pick up for another like 30, 45 minutes as well too. So that
Next time
just
you do something that showcases Xbox games, please show
mhm.
Raises Hell. That's a game that it
I've never played that.
needs as much exposure as it can get. It's just
Raise as hell.
such a great Canadian made underrated Xbox game about of the obliteration of a cute Teletubby species taking over a swampland of monsters, and you're the monsters trying to stop them from taking over your land. It's a third person shooter, and it's just a
See,
lot
that
of
sounds
fun. A lot
that
of
sounds
people,
amazing. That just sounds like stuff that like we don't get anymore. Like that
yeah,
that
no,
generation of games, the sixth generation was so perfectly weird.
I my opinion on why is because you didn't have hyper realistic graphics and hyper realistic standards of everyone these days saying, "Oh, the game looks like crap." It's like back then you could just basically put together a model that you thought looked realistic enough and you would get away with it in that generation. But as soon as like PS3 and beyond, it's like you get into people saying, "Oh, this looks like a PS2 game" all the time. And it's funny,
Mhm.
I even see people these days say stuff like, "Oh, Cyberpunk looks like a PS2 game on this console."
Oh,
And
no, it does
I
not.
always say these people must have no clear memory of how PS2 actually looked. Like
No, no, they
even the
didn't.
graphically pretty good games on the PS2 like Killzone, you can't compare to anything of recent years.
I will say that is something that it still impresses me a bit because and I mean it shows like, what you can do with hardware and such, but quite literally, have you played the Resident Evil, like the original Resident Evil remake or the HD remake of it?
No, no, I've
Okay.
watched streams through of them, I think. The,
Okay.
one of them, whichever one was the most popular, I don't remember, maybe it was the second one.
Probably two. But
Yeah.
yeah, because the first one it was remade on GameCube, which it looked phenomenal back then,
Yeah, I've heard
and
of
then
that.
then it's been ported and such. But like a few weeks ago, I was over at my neighbor's place and they had fired up because it's on Xbox 360, but they fired up uh, the Resident Evil HD remake on Xbox 360. And I was looking at it, and again, this is like 2020 on hardware from 2005 that is playing a game that was ported from a 2002 2003 release. And I looked at it and I said out loud, I was like, "Holy shit, that looks really good." And it's
Yeah,
just little moments that were like that. I'm just like, when you can really take advantage of the hardware and you have the right art style and such, it's great. But like even the, you just got to have the right people with the right system to know what they're doing
of
because you
course,
can get
yeah.
stuff like that like again I don't know when that re-release, but point is it still looks beautiful like so many years later, or then you get something like Cyberpunk.
Yeah, you can get away with a lot, if you have a style. Um,
Hmm.
I the difference between style and graphics is kind of a hard sell for a lot of people, though. It's like, what's a
Sure.
style or what's laziness? I know a lot of people, back on that Cyberpunk thing, a few people were comparing Cyberpunk on a base PS4 looking like a late PS3 game. That I can
I
kind
think it
of get.
does.
Yeah.
I definitely I'm playing it on PS, so yeah, we're coming back to Cyberpunk here, but I'm playing it on PS4 Pro, and I definitely get, like, PS3, Xbox 360 vibes from
Mhm.
it.
It reminds me of, uh I played this a little. Wolfenstein: The New Order, is that the one that was on PS3? I think? Yeah,
Yes,
I played
yes,
that a little, and it was obvious that it was something that was made for the next generation,
sure.
and that's the vibe I get from what I've
But
seen of
that, like, played
Cyberpunk
at,
on
like,
PS4.
solid 60 frame per second and
Yeah,
such,
I
and, like
remember the textures were pretty washed out and,
oh, yeah.
like, blurry from what I remember. I think the guns looked good, but then just, like, the
Mhm.
whole environment was just kind of a mess. That's my
Yeah,
recollection.
yeah.
I remember wanting Doom 2016 on PS3 and Xbox 360 back then because I didn't have a PS4 yet.
Mhm. And then
Just makes me
sometimes it's
wonder if
like
that would even be technically possible. I think it
I think
probably
it would
would.
be, but it wouldn't be very
No, it
that
wouldn't be
game,
very
it
good, but
wouldn't be very enjoyable, no,
no.
no. Yeah. On the dude, on the Cyberpunk thing though, because I was wanting to discuss this, but, because you said you haven't played it or anything, you've just kinda seen the
I
whole
have seen
kerfuffle and what's
I've
been going
seen
on,
a fair
right?
bit, yeah.
Okay. My experience so far, like, because again, I'm playing it on PS4 Pro, so I'm even a little bit better than others who are playing on the base PS4, PS4 Slim. But when it comes down to it, I'm only about 4 hours in, 4 or 5 hours in, something like that. I haven't played all that much. But it's just you run into, at least for me, you run into issues that are just like, oh, the menu is starting to lag really heavily, and now, like, I load up my map and I can't do anything for a bit, or like these buttons are unresponsive. But it has to be one of the, I guess, a couple of the big issues I've been seeing are there has to be something in regards to, like, memory leaks that are going on, some really bad memory leaks. And it seems like there's just issues with, I think this game was so designed for an SSD in mind, to the point where on the PC version, there's a toggle that you can enable if you have it calls like slow HDD option, something like that. Where if you
Okay.
have the game installed on a hard drive, you can enable that, and I guess it would help with streaming textures and such. But it seems like it's just there was such a focus on there that there was a lack of optimization for the older systems that are running 5400 RPM drives over a SATA 2 interface, and then you're dealing with the console bottlenecks and such on there. So that's where a lot of that's coming from. But I say, like, the memory issue as well, the memory leak issue, because it'll get to the point where the game just gets less responsive and you run into more issues, and you're having how do I say, you're just, your frame rate's dropping more and more. But quite literally, if you close out of the game, like close the application, open it back up, reload your save, all of a sudden you got like almost locked 30 frames per second again. Like you're
Interesting.
clearing out whatever garbage is there.
Yeah,
So
okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I can see how that would be a thing. Yeah.
yeah, and that's also proof that this game was not finished, not very well optimized for the older systems.
No. Which,
Yeah.
like, I watched a podcast earlier from, the CU podcast where they were talking about CD Projekt Red apologizing or whatever, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you should have it working on the platforms it's dedicated for. I mean, I know it's PC, centric kind of, like, at this point, and then the PS5 and Xbox Series X are getting pretty decent interpretations, but
Sure.
if it says PS4 on it, I think it should, like, I don't know. We're in such a different gaming climate today where you got all these different consoles. I remember I was watching one thing recently where a guy even said, like, you have to keep in mind, this was regarding Nintendo. There's some guy saying, you have to keep in mind this is Nintendo. They've never stood up to the competition, and like bought into the competitive ways. Uh, this was regarding rumors about a Nintendo Switch to in 4K or something that could come
Yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I remember hearing that, and I'm just like, "Are you sure?" Because I'm pretty sure Nintendo was even like they were one of the first people to put out console renovations with like the new 3DS. As
Yes.
far as I could like tell, like and what I mean by that is, yes, we've had console revisions since like the Super Nintendo, or probably no, or even the Atari 2600s had like revisions like
But those are,
crazy.
like, technically, like well, I
Well,
guess,
the
yeah, the
point
20
I was making is that
like,
the
PS2 versus PS2 Slim, it wasn't like that. You're talking,
yeah,
like, a
yeah,
whole
you can play
yeah, a
any of
whole
those
upgrade.
games on any of those systems, but when you get the Nintendo new 3DS, you can't play Minecraft on it. It's like it reminds me back to the Atari games. It's like, I could play Pac-Man on ColecoVision, but you can't play this Pac-Man. It's like,
Yep.
so yeah, Nintendo, I think they were kind of like the first ones to do that. We have a new version of our
You
console which will only play certain games.
you know,
So,
Nintendo with that, they proved 2 things, and I will always say this with the new 3DS, they proved 2 things at the same time. They proved that, 1, you could make a new, more powerful revision of the same console, and it would sell really well because Xbox and Sony ended up following suit after that.
mhm.
The second thing they proved is you could sell a game console, a portable handheld game console without a charger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because that I remember that really annoyed me where it didn't come with a charger. They're like, "Oh, well, we're assuming that most people are going to be upgrading, so they're going to already have a charger."
Yeah, that's weird. Weird and
Yeah,
cheap.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it is
It
funny
was.
because I have like 5 3DS chargers and I think 1 3DS. I don't even
Mhm.
know how that happened, to be honest.
It they're cheap enough. It happens somehow.
Yeah. I mean, I must have just bought bundles and they came with stuff that was unrelated or something.
They just sneak their way into your house.
Yeah. I have no idea how I got all those. But yeah, I don't really like the idea of new console revision, and I'm okay with a PS4 Pro. I mean, even then, it's kind of like eh. But I can understand PS4 Pro, Xbox Series X, but when it comes to like making a new revision of a console where the old ones won't play certain new games, that's when you kind of start to lose me.
Sure. And I think what you're describing, I think that's only happened one time. That was with the new 3DS because PS4 Pro and Xbox One X and Xbox One S, they all play the same
Yeah.
games and such. There's
So
nothing
like,
that's been
there's of
blocked off,
course there's
thankfully.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only games that were locked off on the new 3DS were Minecraft and Xenoblade Chronicles. I think those are
Oh,
like the
really?
only two games that. Yeah, yeah. It was
She
a
I had no idea. I thought it was like a whole new library of games.
Thankfully, no. There was also kind of another half step where there was the DSi inside of the DS ecosystem, and there was some DSi games, but those were just They were still DS games, but they had little enhancements if you played them on the DSi.
I remember there was an Assassin's Creed game on the DS where if you had a DSi, you could like put posters up with your face on them or something. If I'm not mistaken,
All that extra stuff that we don't need.
it was yeah. I mean, back then it was probably a fun little gimmick. See
Oh, sure,
your face on a wall in the game.
for sure.
But yeah,
Just
I mean, it's kind
something
of
you could
weird, right?
do.
You're running around as like Altair or whatever, and then it's like you
Mhm.
got wanted posters of your face, which is supposedly your character, and it's like, wait, what? That doesn't work.
That'd be
please
amazing
buy
at
the
the same
please
time.
buy the DSi.
Yeah, just please. I don't even know that many people who bought the DSi.
No, I know these days people look back on it kind of fondly, but I'm not even really sure for what reason in particular. I don't think anyone's using that camera.
Yeah, I out of the DS, I think my preferred one, like for even for recommendation, is the DS Lite. I love
Yeah.
that.
Unfortunately, I never had one. I had a Nintendo DS bulk, like old ass
The clamshell
original.
one.
Yeah. That's the only one I had for so many years until I let a friend borrow it and then they snapped it in half somehow.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Very lovely.
That actually happened
The-
twice. I let another friend borrow another one I got as a replacement and then that snapped in half. I don't know
I
why.
actually heard those original ones snapped in half pretty easily. Meanwhile, the
It
DS
must be,
Lites, you
yeah.
can toss those onto concrete, and they most of the time they just stayed fine. The only issue
Yeah,
you'd
they were
really
pretty
want to
sturdy.
run into is like, yeah, the hinge would break, so it didn't like break off, but it would just stay open or closed. You could no longer like adjust it on the
But, you know, it
fly.
was so weird because after I got my original, like, clamshell, as you said, DS, I don't think I ever saw anyone else with one. I was the only one. Everyone else had a DS Lite. And I always thought to myself,
Yep.
you all have like such rich parents where they just bought you the upgraded model because it's a little nicer? Like, wow. That or maybe
I
the DS Lite came out, like, faster than anyone anticipated, I have
e
no idea. It must have come out pretty
even
early.
Yeah, it did because even growing up, I was gonna say one, but no, I knew two people who had the DS Lite. One of them, it was pretty much hidden, stashed away somewhere in his room, and the other one, because he wanted a DS really early on, so he got the DS. But yeah, I remember that like the DS Lite came out so early that when you say DS, people don't even associate the original one. They think of the DS
No,
Lite.
I think a lot of people don't even know that one exists.
That too.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it works out real well.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I hate to keep coming back to this. There was just stuff I wanted to say though, but on I wanted to read out just a part of this for the Cyberpunk apology.
Okay,
But for
sure.
anybody who does not know, so I'm just gonna read out like the first like two sentences because I think the game, when did this release? This technically, yeah, it released on the 10th on consoles, and on the 14th they rolled this out, and they said, "Dear gamers, first of all, we would like to start by apologizing to you for not showing the game on base last gen consoles before
I
it premiered,
don't
and
think they're actually sorry, to be
w-
honest.
I'll get to that, and in consequence, not allowing you to make a more informed decision about your purchase. We should have paid more attention to making it play better on PS4 and Xbox
Man,
One."
they were copyright striking videos that showed anything bad. Like,
They
I
were,
yeah,
they
I
were,
can't
but
see a later released apology being like, "Oh, yeah, we're sorry for doing the thing that we were very actively doing despite constant criticism for."
well, even on that, like that, just in short, it just reads to me like to your point, I do agree. I don't think they're truly sorry, but this reads to me as um the episode of South Park where they kept memeing the EP boy oil spill, and the executive was there and he was just making those videos. He's like, "We're sorry. We're sorry. Sorry." Like that is exactly what came through my head when I read those lines. And like you're
I'm sure
really
you've also
not
heard
though.
that, they made back all their, development money on the
Oh
game
yeah.
in the first
Yes,
day.
yes they did that. I wasn't surprised by that at
So I
all.
think
This is a
they
huge
have
game that had
more
tons of hype.
I think they have more of a reason to be sorry now because maybe they under expected for the game and that's why they were being so like hush hush. But like now I
Mhm.
guess they saw that they made so much money on the game that they're like, "Oh yeah, we probably didn't need to do that." But I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing as well too is
We're
like
only
they
sorry now
fully
because it sold well.
well, and they fully knew about this because I had actually I don't remember exactly where I saw this, but I did write this down where for anybody who does not know, every game that gets published officially, it needs to go through certification testing, which is just making sure there's nothing like there's nothing to exploit the system or nothing that will like really break. You don't want to release a game and have it where
You don't
you're
want to
like two
release a
hours in.
Cubics for 3DS.
Uh,
Or what was that game?
Cubic Ninja. I
Yeah,
know what you're talking
you don't
about.
want to
Even
release a Cubic Ninja.
although as funny as that is, it wouldn't even be that specifically. It's more like you don't want a game where you start playing it and let's say 2 hours in you get to this garage and if you save at that point it wipes your entire hard drive or like it bricks your system. Like they're looking for stuff like that or like things that could, exploit the system in a way. And obviously there's a lot that does get through it like Cubic Ninja or like Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories on PSP. There's things like that. But
Splinter Cell on
essentially
Xbox.
yes, that too. We have what 3, 4 games at this point now.
Yeah.
um, on that though, with certification testing, because I think it was brought up at one point, people were asking like, how did this get past cert? Like, even with the updates, this is bad, but what's going on? And apparently, CD Projekt Red had told Microsoft and Sony, "Hey, if you let this through cert, like I mean, this is my own words here, but they pretty much said like, don't worry about it. We understand. Just give us the certification. We're going to have everything fixed up in patches before launch, like by
Wow.
launch." Yeah. So
If I was Sony or Microsoft or whatever, I'd be like, no, no, you're gonna go through this exactly as everyone else has."
But but we've seen it happen so many times where that's not the case. That's how we still get these broken games on day 1 or day 0 or what have you. Because I'm sure I don't think that this is certainly not an isolated instant. There's so many companies that they'll say like, "Hey, yeah, we know this game has all these bugs. We're going to issue a day 1 patch. So let's go ahead, get to the presses. You gave us certification. Let's get to the presses. We got about 3 weeks at this point before the game's in store shelves. Awesome, cool. We'll have a patch update live by then."
I wonder what on earth that game was like before the delays, because it was delayed several times from what I
Yeah.
recall.
Yeah. That's what
Yeah.
I'm wondering as well too.
I think
I
when I was watching the CU podcast, they were saying they should never put concrete release dates on something unless the game is like already finished.
That'd be kind of nice as well too, where it's like, "Oh, hey, you're getting this game in, like, 2 months, have fun."
Yeah, like you could even like extend it a little if you want to give the illusion of development time. Just
Sure.
like already have the game done and say this is our release date. I
I
guess maybe
mean,
some in some cases they want to add like a whole new thing to the game, but
and they wanna hype and stuff. I mean, I guess I'll put it like this, I have friends who bought PlayStation 3s for Final Fantasy 13 Versus and Kingdom Hearts 3.
PlayStation 4s, you mean?
No, PlayStation
Wasn't
3s.
Kingdom Hearts 3 on PlayStation 4?
Yes.
Wait, why'd they buy a PS3?
Because they were such big Kingdom Hearts fans that when it was announced Kingdom Hearts 3 was coming to PS3, they went out and got a PS3, or they
Kingdom
bought a
Hearts 3
PS3.
came out on PS3?
It didn't.
Oh, it didn't. What,
No,
so
that's
there was a rumor that it was or something?
no, that it was officially announced. There because there was 3 big
What
games
the
that Square
heck?
Enix announced on, like, this is years and years ago. Like, they
Oh, this
announced.
was way before it came out.
Yeah, because they announced
Oh,
Final Fantasy 13, which did come out. They announced Final Fantasy either I think it was Final Fantasy 13 Versus, which became Final Fantasy 15, which is not on PS3, and they also announced Kingdom Hearts 3, and the last 2 games got so delayed that Versus 13 ended up becoming a whole different number, and 3 came out on a whole different generation.
I see what you mean now. I wonder if Kingdom Hearts 3 PS3 is the same Kingdom Hearts 3 as on PS4. Like
I
it
don't
just
even
a
think it
game in such
exists.
was it a game in such long development or were they two completely different games that they just like restarted on?
I feel like, that's a good point. I feel like they might have had to restart it because, like, Kingdom Hearts 3 is actually, like, pretty polished for the most part. While as if you play a game like another game this happened to, The Last Guardian, if you play it, like, it's a great game, don't get me wrong, but it definitely feels like, "Oh, yeah, this is a PS3 game that has been in development for a while, huh?"
Yeah, I guess so. I'm not too familiar with that game. The last thing I remember about a Guardian was some movie with an owl.
Or into the like, the I know what you're like, Legends of the Gahul or something, like,
Something like
I
that.
I know what you're talking
It was
about.
like the
Yeah.
last movie I saw in theaters with my high school friends.
Right on. It was an okay movie, I
I
guess.
don't remember much about it.
That's fine.
I remember it's a movie with owls.
That's all you need to remember. It was a movie with owls.
That's I think I remember we left the theater that day saying that was indeed a movie with owls.
That's all you need to remember.
Yeah, the
Yeah. Yeah, the last thing on Cyberpunk though, I am waiting for this, right? I if anyone can like attest or point this out to me, I would just laugh and I'd feel bad, but I would laugh because I find this funny. Um I'm shocked I haven't seen anybody post saying that Cyberpunk made them throw up.
I remember about that seizure thing.
There was the seizure, yes. For anyone who doesn't know, there is at least one scene that can cause seizures in Cyberpunk, and it caused one reviewer to have some seizures. And Seed Project Red came out and said, "Hey, we're patching that." Like, but until we
Who
issue
even
the
thought that
patch,
was a good idea? Like
I
I
don't
just
know. I don't know.
we wanted to make our game extremely immersive, so now you can experience severe side effects.
Exactly. Jeez, that just an
Wow.
awful that could just be so easily bypassed by not putting it in the game to begin with, but at this point, I mean, right now we're recording this, it's December 2016, the game has been out for almost a week, and people who are prone to seizures are advised to not play the game.
Yikes. And I
Yeah.
have a friend who his whole family has like epilepsy. So like
Yeah.
geez.
So none of them can play it.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, thankfully, my friend's issue, it hasn't been all that bad, but, like, so one of the things I do, like when I typically play a game, I'll look into the settings and such, even if I'm on console. And there's like 6 different effects on PS4, and it's like film grain, depth of field, what the hell, motion blur, and I hate all those, so I disable all of them. Like I want my image to look clean and clear.
Yeah, I usually
And
don't like motion blur. I mean,
no,
it
it's
could also
awful.
just be the fact that like my PC always is like the performance drops with it, so I turn it off for that. Like I still don't
Sure.
even know if I've experienced good motion blur in video games cuz like I always just notice it affects the performance, so I turn it off and I'm like, yeah, it's fine without it. I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm not a my I think my hate for motion blur comes from the Grand Theft Auto 3 PS2 build. It had awful motion blur, and I didn't know until, like, later on where, I was like I'd play it when I was younger, and it always had it just always looked off, and then I figured out there was something called trails, and you could use a Game Shark disk to disable trails, and it just cleaned up the game so nicely, and then as I got older, I found out that was motion blur, and I was like, "Oh god, that looked so bad on Grand Theft Auto 3," but I attribute that Grand Theft Auto 3 on PS2 to my current day hate for motion blur.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
but
know, just I always turn it off. It always just seems to affect performance and it doesn't look great from what I recall, but I mean,
I would agree with you.
I would just I've never had the greatest experience
Yeah,
uh
if anybody
performance-wise for
commenting, if anybody has a good example of motion blur, please let us know because neither of us know.
yeah.
Yeah. But no, like the effects on Cyberpunk, and even one night I accidentally played with him on for a bit, and it did not look very good. So at least you do clean up the image when you go in and disable those effects. But it's funny because a friend of mine was saying when she first got it, she was just like, "Oh, um, I can't play it for more than an hour, or else I get a bad headache." And like she could feel a headache coming on, so she's playing on base PS4, like PS4 Slim, and she
Is that
just
any
couldn't.
different? Slim and base unit, or is it just smaller,
There's
literally, that's it?
it's smaller and it can upscale to 4K, but it
Oh.
still plays. I think that no, no, no. I'm thinking of the Xbox Series S. Excuse me. No, no, no. So the Slim is just smaller. That's it. I think the only difference functionally is you can connect to 5 GHz Wi-Fi.
Oh, interesting, okay.
Yeah, yeah, but aside from that, she was saying, like, she can't play it for more than an hour, else she gets a headache, and, then one night, she decided to power through it because she wanted to finish up a mission, and the missions take a while, and she didn't throw up, but she was getting sick, and she did not feel good off of it. I did tell her to disable all those effects, and that did help out. She's like, "Oh, yeah, I mean, the game is." It's funny because she was telling me, she's like, "No, like, now it doesn't make me sick, so thanks, but, like, the game is playing worse now." Like, it's really slow and it's buggy, and I was like, "Oh, no, that's just the game. No, that's not an
Yeah.
issue with the effects." She's like, "No, no, but when I turn the effects, it's getting worse." I was like, "No, no, no. No, no, you're just further into the game. No, that's just you're just experiencing Cyberpunk without effects now."
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. But yeah, because of that, I'm kind of surprised I haven't seen anyone say like Cyberpunk made me throw up, but I guess maybe the seizure thing is a little worse than vomit.
I can just imagine, like, search hashtag cyberpunk made me throw up, maybe you'll find something.
Maybe. I would hope somebody could use that very specific hashtag for it though.
I can only dream. Maybe cyberpunk and barf.
Yeah.
Cyber
Yeah.
barf.
Together all at once.
Yeah,
It'll look really cool, I guess.
lots of motion blur.
Yeah. God no. Yeah.
Realistic barfing with realistic motion blur for the ultimate barfing visual experience.
I mean, real life does have motion blur to it, so I
I
guess
mean,
that would
when
be
when you
possible.
started talking about this, I was kind of like moving my head around to like see how much motion blur I have when I move my head, and the only thing I really notice is like lights kind of stem a little, but like
It's
I
more you
don't.
have to move your hand like just up and down in front of you, and that's
Oh
how
well,
you
yeah.
or like
There's
wave in front of you. You see
okay,
that?
yeah, but
Yeah.
like I for a lot of these games, the motion blur is like when I turn my head completely, and then it's like everything kind of morphs. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because that's why I'm just like, "Oh, yeah, that's why it's not realistic." I'd agree with you on there because it's like, I don't want everything to be blurred, come on.
yeah, it's like when I move my head, everything's pretty clear where my eyeball is focusing.
Exactly. Oh, well, I don't think we'll ever get to that point, but
Yeah,
yeah. One thing I know we were talking about a bit before, but, I think you'd alluded to it a little bit, but, CDI, you're very excited about the CDI, aren't you?
yeah.
Okay, what's
Uh,
going on with this?
I'm always excited to get some new console. I'm very much like a console enthusiast. I'm even making a video that I've got coming at some point where I just talk about really cool old console designs because I think, oh man, they don't look like they used to. And like a lot of the time, I even say to people, it's like when they say the PS5 looks like garbage, I'm like, well, hey, it's not. It's at least it's not a rectangle. Like it looks like something.
Yeah,
So
I guess.
um I think the PS5 looks kind of neat. It's an air freshener, it's a modem, it's whatever you want it to be, but it's not a brick. So yeah, I love the way old consoles look. The CDI, I don't know if that's the greatest example, but it still kind of looks like, I don't know, like a tent. Like at least the one I'm getting. There's several different models. Some of them just look like DVD players, but the one
Hmm.
I'm getting kind of has, it looks like you cut a blimp in half and stuck a base on it. So I don't know, that's kind of neat.
I love your
And
descriptions.
well, the 3DO looks like pillars from the Roman Colosseum, and I thought
Hmm.
always thought that thing looks so cool, even though the system's kind of but the it just looks so cool. And like even gee, I'm thinking of another example. The Wii's kind of dumb looking, but I mean, at least the Wii sat like vertically and it went kind of like slanted sideways. It's like, oh, it looks kind of interesting. Except don't use GameCube controllers or it'll fall over all the time. Uh,
Sure.
I don't know, the Sega Genesis original model looks kind of neat. It's like a UFO with a radiator next to it.
Yeah. What about like I'm just thinking when you're thinking like saying that I was thinking like Sega CD or like of course the
The
32X that
original
everyone
Sega
points to.
CD looks nice if it's attached to an original Sega Genesis Model 1, I
Sure.
think. Uh, it just makes it look like a beefier UFO with a radiator on it. And then the Sega CD Model 2, it's just kind of like it looks like well, how can I say this in like a kid friendly way? It looks like a chest.
Okay.
You put the
Okay.
Sega CD.
A giant boob.
Yeah, it looks like two giant like flat boobs when you put the
Okay.
Sega CD and the Sega Genesis Model 2 next to each other. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know.
But the thing is, they're like one is like more grown than the other, I guess,
Oh
because
yeah,
you know you.
maybe. Well, I mean, we're
Yeah.
all we're all different.
Yeah. Yeah. It needed some more time to mature, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's you really thought of these like all of these descriptions for systems.
Well, that kind of just came to my head just now. The Roman Colosseum pillars for the 3DO, that's been on my mind for a while. But yeah, I'm excited for the CDI. I just recently bought reproductions of two of the Zelda games and Hotel Mario off some retrogamelabs.com or something like that.
All right.
So I'm excited to get those because the system's region free. And I looked up, it's possible to burn CDs for the CDI, but if I already had so many issues with the 3DO, can only imagine the issues would amplify with the CDI.
Wait,
Um,
were you having issues with like burns on the 3DO?
Burning CDs for the 3DO, it's like I don't know if I had the wrong CD. I may have had the wrong CDs to use, or my
Mhm.
burner is just the slowest it does is 8x, so
Okay.
it's not ideal for that old what is it, like 30-year old, I don't know how old that's. Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess like
you
a 30-year-old now console, the 3DO,
mhm.
the 30O. Uh, and so yeah, I'm excited to play those old crappy games because I just, if there's anything, okay, well, if you hear screaming, that's my cat. But
It's all good.
I love those old crappy games. It's like I love just so bad it's good. I also have no experience with any Zelda games whatsoever. Sacrilege, I know, but like I'm just so excited to make the first Zelda experience be these old terrible CDI games. And like a lot of people have said to me, "Hey, please don't let this be your first Zelda game. It's a terrible impression." I'm just like, "You think I don't know that?" Like I am fully aware of how bad these games are considered in comparison to the rest, and that's
Mhm.
totally fine to me. So I'm excited for that. I'm not so much excited for using that dang like remote control controller. The CDI I bought that's coming in has two of those controllers, those original like remote control controllers that came with the CDI, and oh, they're bad. But like I could spend another $150 or so on one of the regular joypad controllers, but I could also not do that. So I'm going to experience it the way the devil intended, and it's going to be
Lovely.
great. And I'll probably also make a video on Hotel Mario at some point just because I have it now, and
I'm looking
it's going to be
forward to
fun.
these. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm so hyped to enjoy the pain that is the Zelda CDI games.
Awesome. I've actually, I've never used a CDI.
I don't think many people have. I don't think even back then many people have.
No, because it was pretty much advertised as what like a really awesome, crazy good CD player that also kind of plays video games.
Yeah. It was more as kinda like an edutainment kinda system from what I gather, and they say that the
Mm-hmm.
Zelda games are actually some of the best things on it because they actually feel like video games, even if they are just
Yep.
incredibly broken. Those remasters that came out by some guy named Dopley, I think, they fixed a lot of problems.
Uh,
Uh,
ap- Apparently, so I mean, if you ever get a whole ton of money that you don't know what to do with, maybe you can help with this. But apparently, the government of Canada owns a unreleased Mario CDI game.
is that Wacky Worlds?
No, it's not. There was Hotel Mario that came out. Wacky Worlds got canceled, and there was a third, like canceled and leaked. There was a third one, and I don't remember exactly what it was. I know. Shout out to Adam Core, like he told this story, but the third one, I don't know the name of it, but it was in development, and the development company, like they end up closing up shop, and they got foreclosed on and such. And, the bank had to come and repossess all their assets, and last we know, or either like bank or like the Canadian government, but the point is like some entity in Canada owns the source code and assets and everything that belong to this company that were developing this Mario CDI game, and nobody has freed them.
Well, it might be more difficult to do if there is indeed a source code there, but, like, if they just have a ROM that doesn't include like, I don't know. Sometimes source codes can contain a lot of copyrighted stuff in them, so
Oh,
it
absolutely.
might be difficult to even if you pay for it, you might not be allowed to release it. Um, I know there was one piece of lost media I did resurface, and by resurface, I mean I didn't dump the ROM because I had no idea how, but there was a Java game for a very specific model of old Nokia phone, I think, called Rayman Garden, and I did my best to take multiple videos, and I even did my own video review on that game just to
Hmm.
show people what that looked like because nobody had ever seen it. Somehow, after I made my review, a few months later, a dump of it surfaced online, and
That's
people
awesome.
people thought I did it. I'm like, no, I have no idea what that was about, but that's cool.
That's really cool. I haven't seen that video of yours. I need to look
It's
at that.
pretty old, I think now, but
Okay.
like it was the first time anybody had ever seen the game, and so I thought that was cool. It's just like a kind of a crappy little puzzler. I mean, it's something somebody could have whipped up in like one day.
Sure.
Yeah, but it's something at least. It's more Rayman in a universe where Rayman is such a forgotten character. But yeah,
Right on.
we even thought of like becoming a Rayman YouTuber because it's like I don't think we even have one yet. Or maybe I should make a
No,
different channel for that, like FrameRater, Frame Man,
frame rater.
Frame
Like
Man or something. I don't
we
know.
we w- it there's something there. Like the pieces are there. You just need to put them together.
It would be nice. I'm always so scared to make new channels these days because it's like I don't have time to put so much work into a video that doesn't make me any money back. It's like
Hmm.
I know I hate saying it's about money, but when every bit of your time needs to be allocated to paying off your rent, it kind of does have to start becoming about money. I wish it
Sure.
didn't, but yeah. I I I my Rayman videos do pretty good. I could probably create a standalone Rayman channel, but I mean that's another thought for the future, and I
And
probably
then
have to
that's
be in a
building
good
up that
financial
channel and all that and blah blah
situation.
blah. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
totally get
Or I
it.
could just always do that on FrameRater, and people seem to love the Rayman stuff I post there. So
Yeah, keep it simple. Yeah.
yeah.
There was the thing I was actually going to bring up with the CDI. Have you heard of the timekeeper battery?
Oh yeah, that was one thing I was going to bring up. I'm scared for
Yeah,
my
that's what I was going to
I'm
bring up
scared
with
for
you.
the
Yeah.
poor thing's life. I'm gonna go on that listing I bought and see if I could find
Okay.
because I don't. I'm gonna say
Sure.
no.
For
It didn't say anything about that, but it was a fully working unit. Um,
yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean yeah. Like for anybody who does not know, so the CDI was, and this is at the time when we weren't trying to preserve systems and such, and the game system thing was different. But the CDI has a timekeeper battery, which does, as it says, it keeps time on the console. And to my knowledge, when the battery dies, the console is not working. So you need that battery to work. Now, the battery does have a great lifespan of about 25 years because the idea that Philips had was, oh, who's going to be playing with the CDI in 25 years? No one is. Well, the CDI and now what the CDI was released, I'm actually looking up here in 1990. So we're now 30 years in here. And obviously, there's a lot of those batteries that have been dying off. And it's not like a simple CMOS battery replacement. Uh, like one of the things that I'm seeing here, for example, and I remember seeing these photos years and years ago because this post is from 2009, but you have to find the chip itself, and it's a pretty big chip. You have to find the chip that actually houses the battery, and you have to peel apart part of the chip, and you have to literally drill in and destroy the chip to remove the battery, and then either replace it or rig up a different type of system to get it to continuously work. But you have to physically destroy hardware on the console in order to save it.
Part of me wonders if that's specific to a certain model, because
It looks like it is,
I
yeah.
remember looking up something where I think the one that I'm getting is like you basically just need to open it and replace it like a Pokemon Game Boy cartridge.
Oh, so
Um,
just like a little bit of soldering then?
I don't even know if you need to do that, but
Okay.
I think there might be videos dedicated to it. All I know is the thing is sold as working. There's a picture of it turning on their TV, and I'm going to play as much Zelda and Mario as I can, and then if it stops working partway into my playthrough, I can say, "Hey, this was my impressions of the game." It's like at least
Perfect.
I got to experience it. And for the most part, I collect these old consoles because I like the way they look on a shelf. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, nothing wrong with that. But yeah, actually, do you know what model it is? Because
It
there's
is
so
a
many models of the
CDI
CDI.
450.
Oh god. Okay. Uh let's Oh wait, that's a 229. All right, I'm just looking at this here. A 450. What would this be? Because I'm not familiar with the models at all.
Well, when I Google it and I go to images, you do get the right thing that I was referring to. It's like
Okay.
that blimp on a plaque,
Gotcha.
although it's much less round than I thought in my head, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look, is there anything? Well, there's two different ones that are. Oh my god! Yeah, this might still require ripping apart that chip. So we'll see. We'll
It's a
see.
shame, but like it seems like I'm assuming when that battery dies, it's not just gonna like be in a situation where I gotta fix it soon or the system is dead forever. Like I
Um,
assume at I
I
can in 20 years from now get someone to fix it or something.
From what I know, at least, it doesn't work. As in, like it's not like the Xbox clock capacitor where if that leaks fluid all over the board and then you leave it there, it starts like eating away and destroying
Yeah.
traces and stuff, which is still repairable, but it's just more effort. But no, with this, I mean, it looks like you just can't use it. Like you try and pop in a game and it won't load because the timekeeper battery is dead.
Oh, like the system will boot, but a game won't load.
That's what it seems like. Yeah,
Oh, well,
yeah.
that's
From what
unfortunate.
I'm
Gee, who knows if the one I'm getting is like that? Then that would be terrible.
Yeah, if it hasn't been opened up or anything before, then yeah, there's kind of like quite literally like a ticking time bomb right there. Tick tock, tick tock.
Damn. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
at the very least, I know it's a pain in the ass to emulate CDI games, so I'm not very excited about. Oh, what do you know? In this listing, the guy showing it is showing it being played on a Philips TV.
Oh, perfect.
I just see that here: Philips compact disc interactive on the TV, and then just under it on the TV says Philips.
Lovely.
How ironic.
Yeah.
I wonder if
Yeah,
he
he's
thought.
doing it.
I wonder if he knew I was gonna notice that. Well, now I did.
He's doing it right. It sounds like.
Yeah, yeah. It's also a European unit, so I have to convert uh the power,
Oh boy. Okay.
which like I don't know too much about that, but I do have the thing that will let me plug in that plug to like a Canadian American input.
Hmm.
I know that there's certain things that have been said about like blowing the fuse because there's like a mismatch or something. But
Yeah,
I've
there.
I've had a PAL PS2 that I've used for years, and I never had an issue with that. At least
What type of PS2?
it's a slim.
Is it the one that has the external PSU?
Yes.
That's why. That one is actually 110 and 220. So yeah, you can import a you first of all you can use that power supply across both territories. But even if you have to, you can import in a slim PS2 that uses that, and you can just buy a American PSU and pop it in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wonder. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I'm pretty sure I am still using an adapter on that one. So you're saying it could very well be different for this CDI?
Yeah, actually, it's a good thing we're talking about that. Yeah, I don't think the CDI has the smart enough logic on there, so you're probably going to. And I don't know if it's. I want to say it's a step down converter. You're probably going to have to pick up one of those, which it's one of those, it's a device where it's not just an adapter. It also ends up changing the voltage for you safely. So you plug in your device, which would be your CDI, which is supposed to run on 220 volts. You plug it into the step down converter, and then it steps it down to 110, and you're able to safely use it with your setup.
Okay. If you could link me to something like that, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Sure,
Hopefully, it
sure,
doesn't
sure.
end up
Yeah, because
costing me
I
too
really
much.
don't want your CDI to burn up.
No, yeah. I mean, of course, now that you're saying this, I'm gonna definitely be careful. Hypothetically, what would happen? Like my CDI would just break, or I could like set a fire in my apartment.
What? Yes.
Oh,
It could be anything in between. When you're dealing with power, yes. Kind of
jeez.
like one of my friends, friends and I, we like half joke about it, but it's like, well, if you cheap, we were talking about cheaping out on like a power supply for your computer, and he was like, yeah, you don't really want to cheap out on those because either your power supply burns up or you can burn down your house.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good to know.
Yes, yeah, and I'm actually looking at them here, so, like, 200, like, it'd be interesting to see the wattage on there, but, like,
For a
this is
second, I thought you were
US
gonna say
dollars, of
two
course.
hundred bucks.
No, well, there are some that would be
Well, I'm sure.
$200, but
Yeah.
it's looking like a 200-watt step down, converter would be, like, 40 US dollars, something like
Damn. I
that.
mean, even then,
Some
that's
of
a
them.
lot. But I guess if I have to.
Yeah, yeah, you don't especially you're renting too, so you don't want to explain that to the owners. Just like,
Yeah.
"What happened to the house?" "Well, you see, I had to hook up this PAL CDI."
Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah. Cool. Well, it's a good thing you were a guest on here. We were able to talk about this.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely was.
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, no, they look to be about anywhere from $30 to $40, something like that. They're pretty affordable, but I understand just it's another cost added on top of what
Man,
you're
there's
doing.
been so much I've been buying this month because of like future videos I've been thinking of making. And I already know it's
Gotcha.
not going to pay off. It's just a Zelda CDI video, but hey, it's fun. I don't know.
Well, you know what? Hopefully in the end you can at least say your CDI did not burn down your house.
Yep, that would be the ideal.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's I guess there's three things on here I was thinking I'll pick this one. We had kind of briefly talked about this before, but I think you've said either kind of like jokingly in passing and even like directly to me as well that you just have a history of not being the best with repairs or like not
Oh
having the
yeah.
best luck with hardware. What's going on with that?
Uh well, when I first took apart a PS2 back in like 2009 or maybe a bit later, it was what was the problem? I remember it was making sounds. Like I think loading the discs, it was making sounds or something, and it would often like red screen. I was dumb at the time. I guess I just figured it needed cleaning. So I took it apart to clean it, and I had no idea how to put the thing back together. And so then I just had a mound of PlayStation 2 parts. Uh and then I guess eventually I just threw that out and got another PS2. And then I'm trying to think of
PS2s are kind of Pandora's boxes, to be fair, but yeah,
like uh like they're hard to take apart.
they are surprisingly annoying for what they are.
From my recollection at least, like you compare the PS2 to the original model PS3, and that's apples and oranges. Like the original model PS3 is an absolute nightmare to take apart.
Yep, yep. I follow a video every time I do that.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
um but yeah, I was there anything else? I mean, there's been other little things like little LCD games and
I
other
I think you'd
related.
mentioned the PS3s before.
Yeah, yeah, I did take apart a Catch a Zero One PS3 uh because it had issues. I don't remember. I think my idea at the time was to replace the thermal paste, which is just a very temporary fix. But yeah,
Those things are I think within the past year or so, yeah, I picked up a CCHA PS3 and those are well, they have like a million screws inside of them.
yep.
Yeah.
I
It's
ended up getting another one, and randomly during a play session of Half-Life on PS2, it got the yellow light and now it just doesn't work anymore. I think what we came up with was it was the capacitors that seemed to
Mhm.
be what the problem was. Uh,
I saw your video on Half-Life where you mentioned that. That was very rip, unfortunately, because you
yeah,
you played the rest of it on, your, like, custom firmware Slim, right?
I well, I think that review was I reviewed up to the halfway point of the game, but I
Okay.
had played through the whole game uh long ago on an original PlayStation 2, so I had my experience, but I only
Okay,
reviewed
okay.
the game up to the halfway point, at least
I think I'm
regarding footage.
misremembering then, but yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a hell of a thing. It's
Yeah,
still in
yeah.
there.
Oh, the Half-Life
Yeah,
disc?
and everyone tries to tell me, "Hey, all you need to do is flip it over. There's a thing with the screw that you unscrew it and the disc will start coming out." And it's like that is not true because that only started happening with like the second model revision,
Mhm.
and like the very first Catch-A-01 it does not. There's no thing there.
Yeah, and I've taken apart the disk drives on those before, and oh my god, those are a nightmare as well too, in all honesty.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
basically that PS3 cemented my ideology of yeah, I don't open systems.
the PS3 is a very bad system to start with if you're kind of getting iffy on that and you're trying to get,
Oh yeah.
if you're iffy and you're trying to get your feet wet there. Like
I just use
there's
my
other
Slim
systems that are nicer to
I
take
just use my
apart.
Slim for everything today, the, PS3 Slim, which is modded. I don't even know if it's a hard mod or a soft mod, but it is modded, and I
It's a
you
soft mod.
how would you know? Is there no hard mod for the PS3?
Wait, the PS3 we're talking?
Well, my PS3 that I have, I bought it
Yeah,
secondhand, I don't know what it is, but it's modded.
gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean, you would know if it's hard modded because there's going to be like stuff poking out of it. Like,
Oh,
and I,
really?
I doubt you'd have like a flash or like an ODE device or something. But like the best mods on there are going to be software based. So
Okay. Yeah, I
yeah,
guess so. But yeah, that thing is really useful. You can do a lot with a modded PS3, which is funny
yes, you
because of
can.
how much people say like it's such a terrible system to work with or this or that. At least from a developer point of view. And it's like, "Oh, but it has so much support." It's like, "Oh,
Mhm.
I think the consensus is it's better to have a modded PS3 than a modded Xbox 360, I think.
You can do more with a modded PS3. I have more fun with the modded Xbox, but I think that's also I'm kind of biased on there. I
Could
love
be.
the
I
the Xbox
definitely
360 on that.
definitely would love to mod my 360 to be able to play more of the original Xbox library,
Oh, for
especially
sure.
because my original Xbox is out of commission now.
Yeah, yeah, you had the issue where what was it? Like you turn it on and it instantly turns back off and you have to turn it on like 50 times before it
Yeah,
works.
and then when you told me I feel bad for your Xbox, you're like I feel bad for your poor Xbox because that can't be good for it. And I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, gee, if only I knew that before I pressed it like 1,000 times. It's like,
I
oh god. So then, like you told me that and it was like that was my concrete I'm I am taking this out of service now.
well, it's kind of like you saw. I'm sure people and even you've seen like on the back of like I think it's like an N64 game pack. If you look on the back, it's just like do not rapidly turn this system on and off with the game inside of it. Like it's not healthy to keep doing that
No,
like to the
yeah.
system itself or the game or both.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a there was a friend of mine, this is in college, he had a laptop where thankfully it was all within warranty, but like within a few months of him buying this brand new laptop, it was getting to the point where like he would turn it on and it would just do nothing. Like absolutely nothing. So you'd have to turn it off and turn it back on for it to work. And one of our other mutual friends, he started getting into tech stuff because I was always like the tech guy, but he started getting into tech stuff. But I think he got a little like way too overconfident. So it was literally like 30 minutes beforehand, like 30 minutes before I got out of class. He looked at my friend's laptop. He's like, "Oh no, this is fine. Just keep turning it off and on until it works." And so my friend did that with his laptop. And like 3 weeks later, he comes to me. He's like, "Hey, so you know that issue I told you about with my laptop where I have to turn it on like 2 or 3 times before it started? Now I have to do it like 30 times and it doesn't start anymore. Like I can't do anything with it." And I'm just like, why? You could have asked me for a second opinion. And I was like, I can't. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna do anything with this because it's under warranty. Just contact them. But like we could have saved you some time with this. So he had to send it off to the company. It was a motherboard issue, which I expected, and they replaced the motherboard, sent it back. He never had an issue with it after that. But yeah, he had about the same thing where it was literally turn it on, it wouldn't do anything, turn it back off, turn it on. And he was rapidly turning it off and on until it finally posted.
Yeah, for anyone wondering, it is a 1.6 Xbox, so it didn't have to do with the clock or whatever that was.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
because we eliminated that. It also didn't have to do. I think the video you sent me, like, that solidified too. Because I was thinking it was your soft mod. So we got your soft mod up on the latest Rocky 5, and then when I saw it, it was just like because it would like turn off like that, and I
Oh
was like,
yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't even have time to spin up the hard drive. Like that's not a software issue.
So I think we said it was a power supply issue most likely.
That's what we're thinking, yeah. And I said like if it was like my Xbox in front of me, I would try a different power supply in there and see if that resolved it.
I wonder if what is it I was gonna say? Wow, I just completely lost that.
It's all good. We've been at this for a bit.
Yeah. What was I? Oh yeah. If I find it weird because you said your friend, it went from like pressing it 3 times to working to then 50 times and 60 times. For me, it was working perfectly fine, and then just randomly one day it started going to the you need to press it 50 times. There was no starting slowly. It was just immediately like, yep, it's going to take you 50
Interesting.
times now. So I don't know. That was
Interesting.
very weird.
I know we're also talking different hardware as well too, because your Xbox would have been manufactured in 2004, 2005, and then we're talking like with my friend a laptop that was in manufactured in like 2011. So
Yeah.
I know there'd be just the core differences there as well too. But yeah, I thought there would have been a lead up to yours.
Nope,
That
it's
is
just
interesting. It was
very
kind of just a
immediate. Immediately after I make a video about the Xbox emulators is when that happened. So in a way I'm grateful I got to finish my video, but doesn't feel great to have uh at least like 15 Xbox original games that don't work on 360 that now I just can't
yep.
do anything with. Yeah.
Lovely how that goes. I actually had a this a few years ago. I had a reset glitch hack tutorial I did, and the system works fine now. Actually, it's been it. I donated it to someone, but this Xbox I had used it for that tutorial, and like I'd known how to do the modification and such. And literally, I got my footage, got everything done, everything was working perfectly. And it was one of the later models as well too. It was a Jasper, so it shouldn't have this issue, but for whatever reason, still don't know why to this day. Maybe 10 minutes after I finished the video, I tried to fire it up and it got a red ring.
Damn.
Yeah, and then I tried it again, tried it again. I rewrote the original NAND. I removed any modification, so completely reverted it to stock, and it red ringed. And I was just super confused at that point. And as opposed to like sitting there diagnosing it, I was just like, you know what? I give up. I have the video, the footage is done. The tutorial, there's nothing wrong with the tutorial itself. I don't know what's happening here though. So I had the system taken apart and I just put it in a box for like 3 days. And then I came back to it and I remember it had the I'm trying to no, it had the stock NAND on there. So it was unmodified, but like 3 days later, I came back. I decided to just hook it up to see what would happen, and green lights, and it worked beautifully. And then I remodded it and green lights, it worked beautifully. And I could not replicate that issue. I don't know what the hell was going on. I don't know why it was doing that. And again, at this point, like I've, redone the mod on it at one point. I've sent it off. It's been donated to a friend. They've been using it for a while. It's been years. It hasn't had any issues like that since then. I can't tell you why it just red ringed for like 3 days, but it did.
Huh. Yeah, well, Tech B has Tech B.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like this shouldn't logically happen, and then it happened. So,
Yeah. That's the same
yeah,
thing
well,
for my Xbox and countless others. Yeah, it's very weird how these things just
yeah,
spring out of nowhere, but I guess it is all just certain flaws in the system are leading up one to another, like how COVID brings across other issues in people. And that's a
exactly.
reflection of life today.
Yes, yeah. Careful, you don't want to get political. So for my last thing here, I'll go ahead and drop this in. This is something I always ask my guests, but what games are you currently playing these days?
uh well, as we said, it's more so I do it for the work aspect.
Sure,
Stuff I
but
got
it's still playing.
stuff I got upcoming. I know I got that Shantae game recently, the limited run Switch release copy, and I need to get to
Oh,
that. Um,
alright.
See, I got a review list here. I'm still doing the Ratchet and Clank, Secret Agent Clank, Size Matters, and Deadlocked for a video. The other things on my list, I got the Bonk trilogy of games for the TurboGrafx 16. I'm trying to do something on
Nice.
that. That's been on the back burner for a while, and I'm still not sure when I'm gonna get to that. Let's see what else I got here. Um, some remakes of old reviews I did back a while ago that I wasn't satisfied with. Uh, More information came out about a old Duke Nukem 3D port for the Genesis. I did a review on that a while ago, but I wanted to re-review it for several reasons, and I got more information on that. There's now a DSi emulator out there, supposedly, that will run the DSi specific games, like a DSiWare is what they were called.
Yeah.
You would only be able to play those through a DSi or something like that. Or no, I don't know exactly, but like there was no way to play those on the PC until recently, and now you can. And I said a long time ago if I could ever find a way to emulate the Rayman port to DSi that I would review it. So some guy, hacker 120A, who DM'd me, told me that I need to set up the new emulator to play that and review it. And I'm like, well, I guess I got to do that at some point. And then I have other reviews listed here of things that I got on the back burner, but no need to mention those at the moment. And yeah, that's what I'm playing these days. I can't say I play anything else just for the enjoyment factor of it. But if I ever do want to just have fun on my own, sometimes I'll pull up some Sonic 3 Air, which is a great project by a guy named Eukaryote, who basically ported Sonic 3 and Knuckles to PC, which is one of my all-time favorite games. So that's
Whoa,
a
that
fun
sounds
thing to,
awesome.
yeah, that's a fun thing to pull up here and there. Good old community remasters, doing what the devs won't since whenever.
Man, I love that with the community on just anything. It makes me happy seeing stuff
There's
like
been a
that.
lot
Like
of
even
Rayman like remakes and stuff. Oh, we
really.
were talking about Sonic, but for some reason I just thought that we were talking about Rayman. Well, I was talking about the DSi thing. That's probably why it's still in my head. But yeah, there's somebody ported over the original Rayman PS1 game, PS1 Jaguar Saturn. Somebody made a really great port of that to the PC with widescreen and everything, and some new
That's
content.
awesome.
It was like a Sonic Mania inspired thing called Rayman Redemption by Rymani. That's great stuff. I recommend anyone to check that out if they like 2D platformers with a nice little retro cartoony spin on it.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, for fun and games, a lot of it seems to reside in. You know what I know we're ending this off here, but one thing that I've always wanted to say publicly, but I never make a video about this because I'm not that kind of guy.
Oh
But
boy. All right.
just imagine with all the Nintendo leaks that came out, if only we could get something like the Super Mario 64 PC port, but for Sunshine. Man, that would be great.
That
Imagine
would be
all the
cool.
improvements people can make to that game. People would no longer say it's a crappy 3D Mario game. Just mod it a little bit and people would love it. But
You
I don't
know,
even
I
think
feel
we're gonna get any more from the Nintendo leaks cuz the guy who did that was sent to prison recently. And I don't even know how that
oh
works now. Like are those files
oh
still out
oh
there? Who's handling them?
okay, so just to clarify a few things, Super Mario 64 PC, that was a decompilation effort. That was actually not a
Really?
internal leak. Yeah, it was a decompilation effort.
Did it use any
So,
of the files from the leak?
no, it
No.
did not.
Oh,
No. Yeah, no, it was decompiled.
I
So
didn't
the
know that.
retail ROM and such. Yeah. The Giga leak that you're talking about. So the person who went to prison, I believe Ryan Rocks, he had I think he participated in it, and I think there was someone else who had it. And I don't even think it was him who was Giga Leak. I think it was somebody else who ended up going to prison. They still did for for the hacking and such. But they have passed around all the files within those leaks to other friends, community members, all that stuff. So
So we'll
there's a
still be
lot.
getting that, probably.
Yeah, there's a lot that is leaked out publicly, but there's also a ton more that is private that we don't know who holds it or what is inside of there, but there is still more that is to come.
Yeah, I still hope we still like at least get stuff like I know there was Super Mario World leaks where we saw early designs of Yoshi, And it's like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
well, Mr. Nintendo or whatever, why can't we see that stuff? Where's the harm in that? I want to see what Yoshi looked like in the early 80s or whenever.
I think one of the funny things I saw in one of the leaks that was related to Star Fox 2, there was actually one developer because they make like internal tools and such. But this also kind of it brought up kind of a moral question as well too, because there was a lot of private information, not like doxing by any means, but just like a lot of like private like developer comments and commentary and like Snyder marks and such, and like even internal testing tools and some other things. And one developer was like, "Hey, it's kind of cool that I get to see this tool for the first time in like 20 something years, but like I feel kind of violated because this was a tool that I just kind of whipped up and I put some, funny jokes in. There was nothing offensive. He's like, I put some jokes in there and such. And it was just supposed to be a tool that was only for testing one specific thing on Star Fox 2, and that was the end of it. And I haven't even thought of it. And now the entire internet knows about it.
Yeah,
So but I also kind of like peeling back the curtain on all that game dev stuff as well too.
it's definitely very interesting. Yeah,
Oh,
I
oh
still think
yeah,
there's no harm in seeing a little early Yoshi.
yeah. I
So
I don't think there is
stuff
either.
like that, I think if Nintendo's never going to show us, no matter the legality behind it, I'm all for leakers showing us what certain things looked like earlier in games. Who's that going to hurt, really? I can't see how that can hurt anyone
It hurts
unless Yoshi
Yoshi's
has a
feelings, all
dong.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, unless Yoshi has a dong, you're right.
Well, you know what they did with Crazy Frog.
Yep, yep, sad. Yeah, I know on my side at least, the stuff that I've been playing, I've mostly been on my Switch here, but I just completed have you heard of, let me even bring up what the hell it is. A Short Hike. Have you heard of that?
I don't think so.
So it went on sale, and I believe it's a game that is done by was it Humble Bundle? They have a dev studio, and it's like Humble Dev or something. So it's like their first game they developed and released themselves and such. And it's just like kind of a cute little slice of life game where you're like you're all animals, but you can talk and such, and you're a bird who just has to take this really big hike to make a important phone call. But it's kind of just the journey along the way. It's a quick like 2-3 hour game. It's cute, it's interesting, it's fun. I like games like that.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds pretty
So yeah,
nice.
no, yeah, it was. I'm kind of doing a few like daily things as well. So I'm still kind of working on Catherine like full body whenever I do play that a bit. But I got back into Animal Crossing New Horizons because I got out of it for a bit, and then a friend of mine had picked it up. So we started playing it, and we're like, actually, even right before this, I had my what was it, my island, because we've been tracking our turnip price and such. My island was like 562 or something. It spiked today, so we just were selling turnips at my place.
Oh, cool.
But
Yeah.
I've been playing that like almost every day. Ring Fit Adventure, because I'm not going to the gym. I
Yeah,
try and
yeah.
play that every day, Monday through Friday, and it kicks my ass, and it's worth it. It's great.
That sounds pretty nice.
um
Yeah.
it is, yeah. And there's another game, Valhalla. I'm not sure if you've heard of that.
Well, I know what a Valhalla is, but I don't.
I think everyone does, yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Uh,
know what the game is.
so it is a kind of pixelated visual novel style cyber bartender game that takes place in the future.
Okay.
And I love the game. I've played it several times, but I decided to replay it yet again because what I'm doing, just as kind of a little fun thing, I'm playing it day by day. It takes course like over a few weeks in December, and if you include the prologue, the game technically starts on December 9th. So I started playing it on December 9th, and I only play it day by day. So every single day I'm just playing that day when it's like the actual day. So like for example, today's December 16th. I've I'm only playing through the December 16th day.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been fun. I think the only issue is it's mixing up my days. So
Yeah.
like today is like act like the real day today is Wednesday, but in the game it's Friday. So then I start getting confused like in my real life of like, wait, is it Wednesday or Friday? I'm not sure.
Yeah. When you live a lifestyle like mine, I never even keep track of days like at all. I just wake up,
every d-
work, sleep, and that's about it.
every day can be a Sunday, I guess, with the schedule.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. That's when the whole even I still feel it at this point, but for me, this is pretty much how every day feels. Like Monday through Friday feel like Sunday with a they feel like Sunday with a set schedule, like a block of like 8 or 9 hours where I have to do a thing.
Mhm.
Saturday feels like a really long Sunday, and then Sunday feels like Sunday.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah. Oh well. Well, hopefully we'll get to some kind of normalcy here in the next few months, but
It
we'll
would be
see.
nice. Maybe this
It
summer or
would be.
something.
Exactly. Yeah. Either way, now wrapping up here. So, FrameRater, where can people find you online if they want to hear more from you, more rants here, and watch maybe some of the awesome Rayman stuff that you either have or have coming down the
Right,
pipeline,
right.
and check out what's going on with that third Ratchet and Clank game from you. Where can people find
Yeah.
you?
Well, you go on YouTube, you search FrameRater. It'd be pretty easy to find me there. You go on Twitter, and then it's at TV FrameRater, no spaces. I guess that's pretty much all I've got really when it comes to my social medias. I mean, if you want to get in touch, my DMs are open, so there's that
Oh,
too.
awesome,
I think they're
cool.
open. People send me requests now and then, so that must mean they're open.
I would think so. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that means they're open.
yeah,
Right on. Awesome. Yeah, and what I'll do, I mean, in the YouTube upload, I'll just link your YouTube channel as well as your Twitter so
that'd
people
be
can
very
find
nice.
you that
Thank you.
way. Oh, no problem. I do it for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, our very last thing, and I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit, but what I like to do with all of my guests when we wrap up, I like to pick a keyword that can be used for anybody who's gone here to the end. So if you're here at the end and you comment down below in the comment section on the YouTube upload and you use this word, FrameRater and I will both know that you made it to the end here. So, FrameRater, I'm going to pass to you. What word should that be?
Hmm. Bosconian.
Bosconian?
Yeah, because it's a great arcade game that nobody really talks about, and I
Yo,
wish people did.
we're gonna see so many misspellings of that. Oh man, I can't wait. All right, so there we go. We have it. If you use the word Bosconian in your comment, we will know that you made it to the end.
Congratulations. Go check out the
Oh,
arcade game. If I were to make a different if you ask me again now, I'd say the word Anteater because that's another arcade game people got to check out. Everyone always mistakes Oil's Wells. Oh, it came first. No, man, check it out. Anteater. Great arcade game.
okay, so that's another one to check out. But
Just
Bosconian
use
is
the
the one
word
we're going
use the
with.
word Bosconian in the comments. That's what you'll do. But check out
Perfect.
Anteater. You just
All
got me
right.
thinking, so
Okay. Cool. Thinking is good. Thinking is healthy.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I think that's about it for this episode. So, FrameRater, I want to thank you again very much for coming on. This
And
was
thanks for
definitely a
having
fun
me.
episode.
Yeah.
No problem. No problem. Yeah. And to everybody out there, hopefully you all stay safe, stay healthy, have a great holiday no matter what you are celebrating. And, hopefully we'll have a good new year as well, too, going into 2021. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for listening and watching, everyone. And until next month.